Hello. I'm just going to be talking about my experience for the first 3 weeks of this course. To go over the first question, um, about which of the big ethical questions we've covered. For me, it's the question of whether it's ethical to prioritize loyalty to friends over larger responsibility to the greater good. Um, we discussed this basically in The Empire Strikes Back when Luke leaves his Jedi training to save his friends. I found it really interesting. Sorry, excuse me, because because it shows how sorry, I just totally spaced my thought. Um, when Luke leaves his friends or his Jedi training, so sorry, to save his friends. I found it really interesting because it shows how ethical decisions aren't always simple. Luke's intentions were good, but the potential consequences were huge, not just for him, but for the entire galaxy itself. Um, Thinking about this made me question, um, or actually, it made me reflect, on the times in my life when I've had to choose my friends um, over other things that could perhaps have a bigger impact on something else. Um, yeah, and it really made me appreciate the complexity of moral choices. For the second question, um, what is the most surprising part of the course so far? For me, it's how many different frameworks there are for evaluating ethical dilemmas. I used to think ethics was mostly about knowing what's right from wrong, basically, or just following the rules. But learning about frameworks like, um, sorry, I butcher these names all the time. Utilitarianism, deontology, and virtue ethics, has been eye-opening. It surprised me that the same situation can be judged, um, in very different ways depending on which framework you use. Um, for example, applying utilitarianism to Luke's decision would suggest he would have stayed in training to maximize overall good, even though it meant not helping his friends. Um, that made me really think about the impact of perspective on moral decisions. Finally, the third question asks if the course has changed how you view ethical issues in a significant way. I'd say yeah, mostly. Before this course, I often relied on gut feeling when deciding what was right or wrong. Now I find myself thinking more critically about the consequences of actions, the intentions behind them, and how ethical frameworks might analyze the situation, using examples like Luke's dilemma, has helped me see that moral decisions are rarely simple and that considering more angles um, can lead to a better informed choice. I feel like this course has given me tools to approach ethical questions more thoughtfully, which is something I'll carry with me beyond this class. Overall, these first few weeks have been really engaging and eye-opening. Um, I've learned not just about ethical theories, but also how to apply them in the real world. Um, I'm looking forward to continuing this. It's a really fun class, and I really enjoy how it's Star Wars based. Thank you.